And joining us now with another perspective on this issue is Cliff Colwell. He is a physician and a member of the board of the group ProEnglish, which opposes the Laura bill. Mr. Colwell, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity.
Looking back to 1998 and the years that have gone by since then, how would you characterize California's experiment in rolling back bilingual education in the schools?
Well, I think it's an excellent question, and what it really looks at is what happened between the early 70s when it was mandated for bilingual education. By 1998, that social experiment, at least based on the data that was available, was not successful. And consequently, the vote in that referendum, 227, was over 60% were in favor of dropping that in favor of a immersion program. That's now called a structured English immersion program. But all of the data that's been published since then, there are lots of research projects going on, but all the published data would suggest that immersion has been a much more effective tool than bilingual education. And the cost of course, is immensely different. This actually cost billions of dollars between the 70s and 1998. As you're also aware, this happened quickly again in Arizona by 2000 with over 64% of the people voting for a change, and then again in Massachusetts in 2004 with over 68%. So it's been an opportunity to study this subject at great depth.
Yes, certainly. And speaking of studies, the one that was, or one of the ones that was mentioned by Patricia Gandara in our last segment from Professor Reardon in Stanford sort of gives both sides a little bit of ammunition. He found in this recent study published in 2014 that in elementary school, Latino students enrolled in dual language programs were reclassified as English proficient at a slower overall rate, but then in high school, they were at a faster overall rate, so gaining there. So there's a lot of research and different things that we could look at. But turning to the Laura bill, Senator Laura talks about how California is now a different state, how having these multilingual skills is much more important for success. Do you believe that makes it more important to look at the way the state does bilingual instruction now? Do you believe that's a sound argument?
Well, I think you always should continue to look at situations because it's a moving playing field. I agree with that. But they don't discuss at all the issue of which languages. If you look at the civil rights issues here, we now have 327 languages in this country. And by civil rights, if you're going to teach in a second language, you're going to have to do that in each language. When you consider attempting to get teachers who are qualified in all these languages to teach at all schools, and that's not even considering the cost of such a program. So people focus on bilingual with just the Spanish, but you can't just do that. There's no way in the world that you can deprive anybody else then. If you're going to produce it for Spanish, you're going to have to produce it for all these 327 languages. We have to do that in medicine now. You may be aware of that in the Clinton administration, the presidential order was that we had to provide language translation in medicine if you received either Medi-Cal or Medicare funding in all languages. Now, that is possible to do. It's very expensive, but it's possible. But to teach all the children in the school systems that, I just can't imagine the cost of that.
What about the issue of local control? Some people have said, why not leave it up to individual school districts? Different districts in different parts of the state may have different views on it. Your thoughts on that?
Well, that's already available, and I think it's a great access route. If both the parents and the teachers at a specific school system decide they want to teach in a separate language, whichever one that is, they can do that right now. I agree with that totally. At a local level, you should be able to decide this. The question is, should you do either state funding, and the federal government bowed out of this completely in 2002 at the time of the No Child Left Behind Act. the federal government said, we just can't see that we're going to fund it. If the state wants to fund it, that's fine, but we're out of the funding issue for this.
Again, we've been talking with Cliff Colwell. He is a physician and a member of the board of the group ProEnglish, looking at bilingual education programs in California. And those test scores, do you feel that those rise in test scores are directly attributed to English immersion programs over the past years?
I believe that's the case. I believe that everything that's been published since 1998, I'm not talking about studies that are in process, but anything that's been published would favor immersion program.
All right. Again, Dr. Colwell, thank you so much for joining us. He's from the group ProEnglish, which opposes the Lara bill. We'll see if that winds up before California voters in November 2016. Still some time away, but Dr. Colwell, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for the opportunity.